Jungkook paced back and forth in the living room. His lips pressed into a pout as he glared at the clock on the wall. It was well past 9 p.m. and his husband Tae was still not home. This wasn't an uncommon occurrence. Tae had always been dedicated to his work. But lately it felt like that dedication had turned into obsession. Their date nights had dwindled. Their conversations became shorter. And Jungkook was beginning to feel neglected. Jungkook huffed and crossed his arms. An idea forming in his head. He was going to make Tae jealous. Maybe that would snap him out of his workaholic tendencies and bring his attention back to where it belonged on Jungkook. He grabbed his phone and opened Instagram. His fingers moving quickly to post a picture that he knew would catch Tae's attention. It was an innocent enough shot: Jungkook out at a cafe laughing with an attractive male colleague. The angle was just right to make it seem more intimate than it was. He added a caption that could be read between the lines. "It's been too long since I had a night out. Much needed company." Satisfied with his post, Jungkook set the phone down and waited. An hour later the front door clicked open. And Jungkook's heart raced. He schooled his expression into one of nonchalance as Tae stepped inside. Loosening his tie and running a hand through his tousled hair. Tae was stunning as always. His sharp jawline and deep eyes never failing to make Jungkook's pulse quicken. But tonight Jungkook was determined to stick to his plan. "Hey, you're home late again," Jungkook said casually, leaning against the couch. His tone held a hint of dissatisfaction. But he made sure to keep it light. "Yeah, the meeting ran longer than expected." "I'm sorry, love," Tae said and gave him a distracted smile. "Yeah, it's fine," Jungkook replied, shrugging. He picked up his phone and scrolled through his feed, making sure the image of him and his colleague was clearly visible. He saw Tae's eyes glance at the screen before quickly looking away. But there was a flicker of something in his gaze. Was it annoyance or jealousy? "Who's that?" Tae's jaw tightened. He asked, his voice calm but with an edge to it. Jungkook's heart skipped a beat. "Got him. Or just someone from work. We grabbed a drink earlier. No big deal." Saying this, Jungkook flashed an innocent smile. But the twinkle in his eyes betrayed his mischief. Tae's expression darkened slightly, though he kept his composure. And says to Jungkook, "It's late. You didn't tell me you were going out?" Hearing Tae's words, Jungkook lifted a brow. And he replies to Tae, "You didn't tell me you'd be home so late either. I figured I'd enjoy my time since you're always so busy with work these days." There it was, the shift in the air. Tae's entire demeanor changed. His eyes narrowing slightly as he walked over to Jungkook. Each step deliberate. He took Jungkook's phone from his hand and placed it face down on the couch, pinning his gaze to Jungkook's. His voice low and controlled. "You think this is a game, Kim Jungkook?" Jungkook's breath hitched. The way Tae said his name sent a shiver down his spine. His initial confidence began to waver under Tae's intense stare. But he wasn't ready to back down just yet. He raised his chin defiantly. "You haven't been paying attention to me, Tae. You have become too much workaholic. I've been feeling." Before Jungkook could finish, Tae took hold of his wrist, pulling him close until their bodies were pressed together, heat radiating between them. Jungkook's words died in his throat as Tae leaned down, his lips grazing the shell of his ear. Is that what this is about? You wanted my attention. You've always had it, Jungkook. But if you're going to act out like this, I'm going to have to remind you who you belong to. Tae's voice was a deep, commanding growl. Jungkook's knees nearly buckled, but Tae's grip on him lightened, keeping him steady. There was no escaping the smoldering heat in Tae's eyes now. Any trace of the playful defiance Jungkook had felt earlier was gone, replaced by the burning need that Tae always ignited in him. Tae's hand moved from Jungkook's wrist to his waist, gripping him firmly as he pressed him back against the couch. Jungkook's breath quickened as Tae's lips trailed down his neck, his teeth grazing the sensitive skin. His pulse raced, heart pounding in his chest as the world around them seemed to narrow down to just the two of them. You want my attention. I'll give you more than you can handle. Tae murmured against Jungkook's neck, his voice thick with possessiveness. Before Jungkook could respond, Tae captured his lips in a searing kiss, his hands sliding up Jungkook's back, pulling him impossibly closer. Jungkook melted into the kiss, his body responding instantly to Tae's dominance. Every touch, every breath they shared felt electric, the air charged with an intensity that made Jungkook's head spin. Tae's hands roamed over Jungkook's body, each touch setting his skin alight with desire. Jungkook's earlier plan of jealousy seemed ridiculous now. How could he have ever doubted the depth of Tae's feelings for him? Tae wasn't just focused on work. He was always focused on him, on them. But when he did focus, it was all-consuming. Tae broke the kiss, their foreheads resting together as they both gasped for air. His thumb brushed Jungkook's swollen bottom lip, his eyes blazing with a mixture of desire and frustration. You're mine, Jungkook. No one else gets to have you or even look at you like that. Do you understand? Tae said firmly, his voice low and dangerous. Jungkook nodded, his voice barely a whisper as he replied, Yes, I'm yours. Only yours. Good. Now I think it's time I remind you of exactly what that means. Tae's lips quirked into a satisfied smirk. Before Jungkook could process what was happening, Tae scooped him up effortlessly, carrying him towards their bedroom with a determined stride. Jungkook wrapped his arms around Tae's neck, his pulse racing in anticipation of what was to come. As they crossed the threshold of their bedroom, Tae gently sat Jungkook down on the bed, his eyes never leaving Jungkook's. He leaned in close, his lips hovering just above Jungkook's, teasing before pulling back just enough to drive him crazy. You thought you could make me jealous? Let's see if you can handle the consequences. Tae's voice was a low rumble, the power behind it sending another wave of heat through Jungkook. Jungkook's breath hitched as Tae's hands slid down his body, taking control in the way only Tae could. It was going to be a long night, one where Tae would show Jungkook exactly how deeply his love ran. Tae's intense gaze held Jungkook captive, his every movement deliberate as he hovered over him, creating a tension so thick that it made Jungkook's heart race even faster. The air between them sizzled with unspoken words, and Jungkook felt the control he had tried to assert earlier slipping away completely. Tae trailed his fingers down Jungkook's chest, feeling the rapid rise and fall of his breath. Jungkook's body responded instinctively to every touch, arching into the warmth of Tae's hands as he ghosted over his skin. Jungkook's pulse quickened even more, the anticipation nearly unbearable as Tae's hands paused at the hem of his shirt. "Take it off," Tae commanded, his voice deep and unwavering. There was no room for argument. Jungkook swallowed hard and quickly obeyed, pulling the shirt over his head and tossing it aside. The cool air of the room hit his bare skin, but the heat between them drowned out everything else. His eyes stayed locked on Tae's, silently pleading for what was to come next. Tae leaned down again, his lips brushing teasingly along Jungkook's collarbone. "You think you can play these little games with me? You forget who's in charge, don't you?" Tae's voice was a mix of amusement and warning. Jungkook could barely form a coherent response. The closeness of Tae, the way his breath tickled his skin, left him dizzy. "I just wanted your attention," Jungkook whispered, his voice barely audible. "You've always had it. But if you want more, you're going to have to earn it." Tae murmured against his skin, placing a kiss just above Jungkook's racing pulse. With those words, Tae's hands moved lower, brushing over the waistband of Jungkook's jeans, making him shiver. Jungkook's breath hitched, anticipation rolling through him in waves. He couldn't remember ever wanting Tae this much. It wasn't just about the physical connection, it was the intensity of their bond. The way Tae always knew how to push him to the brink, how to remind him that there was no one else who could make him feel like this. "Tell me, who do you belong to?" Tae whispered, his voice dark and enticing. Jungkook's breath came out in shaky gasps as Tae's hands slid just beneath his waistband, making him tremble. I belong to you, Tae." Jungkook breathed, his voice unsteady. A satisfied smirk curled at the edge of Tae's lips as he pressed a kiss to Jungkook's throat, sending another jolt of heat through him. "Good, don't you forget it." Saying this without warning, Tae's hand dipped lower, pulling Jungkook's jeans off in one swift motion, leaving him vulnerable beneath his gaze. Jungkook felt his face flush with heat, his heart hammering in his chest as Tae's eyes roamed over his exposed body, filled with a possessiveness that made Jungkook shiver. Tae's lips met his once again, this time with more force, more need. The kiss was fiery, overwhelming, stealing the air from Jungkook's lungs as he melted into it. Tae's hands explored every inch of him, touching, teasing, driving him to the edge of control. Jungkook's world spun as Tae shifted his weight, himself above Jungkook with an unmistakable look of dominance in his eyes. His hands gripped Jungkook's wrists, pinning them above his head, and the pressure sent a rush of adrenaline and desire through Jungkook's veins. "You wanted me to be jealous. You wanted to see what I'd do. You have no idea what you've just started." Tae growled softly into his ear. Jungkook's breath was ragged, his body humming with anticipation and need. He could feel the heat radiating from Tae, the sheer force of his presence overwhelming him in the best possible way. "Tae, please." Jungkook whimpered, feeling desperate under Tae's control. "Please what?" "You wanted my attention. Now you have it. Tell me what you need, honey." Tae teased, his voice dark and playful, a smirk tugging at his lips. Jungkook swallowed hard, his lips parting as he struggled to find the words. Every nerve in his body was on fire. the intensity of Ty's touch leaving him breathless. I need you. I need you, Ty, please. Jungkook finally gasped, his voice a broken whisper. A satisfied gleam sparked in Ty's eyes at Jungkook's play. That's more like it. Ty murmured, leaning down to capture Jungkook's lips in another heated kiss. His body pressing against Jungkook's in a way that left no space between them. The night stretched on, each moment filled with the sound of heavy breaths, whispered names, and the unmistakable connection that only they could share. Ty took his time, savoring every second as he made sure Jungkook understood exactly who he belonged to. He didn't just want to claim Jungkook physically, he wanted to remind him of the depth of their bond, of how much he meant to him. Hours later, as the moonlight filtered through the curtains, Ty lay beside Jungkook, pulling him close in the afterglow of their passion. Jungkook rested his head on Ty's chest. His heart still racing, though now it was a steady rhythm of contentment rather than frantic desire. I didn't mean to push you away. I've just been so caught up in work. But that doesn't mean I don't love you. You're always my first priority. Ty whispered softly, his fingers tracing gentle patterns along Jungkook's arm. Jungkook shifted slightly, looking up at Ty with a soft smile. I know. I just missed you. That's all. Ty's eyes softened as he pressed a kiss to Jungkook's forehead. I'll make more time for us. You're the most important person in my life. Don't ever doubt that. Ty promised, his voice sincere. Jungkook smiled, his heart swelling with warmth. I won't. I just need you close like this. Jungkook whispered. You'll always have me close. You're mine always. Ty replied, tightening his embrace around Jungkook. And as they lay there wrapped in each other's arms, Jungkook felt a deep sense of peace settle over him. He didn't need to play games or seek attention elsewhere. Ty was his just as much as he was Ty's. And that connection, their love, was stronger than anything else. The end. Thanks for watching, Puffballs.